Cool. So let's get it started. Welcome to Weekly Market Open, right? Every single Sunday, you know how we do. We start the week off right. We're going to look at news events. We're going to look at the US dollar, kind of see what we can expect from it. And then with that bias, we'll go into some trading pairs and kind of look at some areas that we could be expecting some action inside of, right? And we're going to set our alerts. We're going to be ready for the week, and everybody's going to eat. So that's today, just making sure everybody's ready. Everybody has some sort of perspective. That way you're not hopping in on Monday like clueless. You know what I mean? That's what Sundays are for. Not just this call, but like the weekends are for back testing. Make sure you guys are doing your thing, right? Shout out to Neri holding these back testing calls every single Saturday. Like, you kidding me? We got a back testing call on Saturday and then a market weekly outlook on Sunday. And they got Monday through Friday, just straight action with my boy Will in the mornings, my boy Vinny. We got market overview now being hosted by educators. So, man, we really have one of the best communities, right? So don't take it for granted. Now, let's get started. I'm going to pull up the first thing we're going to look at here today, which is going to be the economic calendar, right? So that's the way we like to start here. Sometimes I do forget. If I ever forget, like, yo, you didn't show the news today, bro. What's going on? So let me open up my calendar here. Anybody taking a look at news so far yet? If you have, you're going to see that we got a pretty eventful week, right? We got red folders from Tuesday through Friday. So that's good news for all of us that are going to be at these in-person trading events. Most likely means we're going to see some action, right? So thankfully they planned. I don't know if they took this into account or not, but it just happened to work out this way where we're for sure going to see a lot of opportunities, right? With a week like this, fam, just so you know, you don't have to force anything. You know what I mean? There's going to be plenty of opportunity, just like any other week, any other time. But this week specifically, we got Tuesday through Friday. We got high impact news, so we can definitely expect not only action but some high volume action, right? So take a look at Tuesday. We got consumer confidence, job openings. On Wednesday, we got ADP, non-farm employment change, which is pretty important. Prelim GDP, pretty big. PCE, unemployment on Thursday. And then Friday, I think, would be the most impactful one out of my experience, if I'm reading this correctly, is our average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, and PMI. So PMI tends to be pretty volatile, right? And don't take my word for it. Definitely, participate, even if it's not like opening up a position. Just make sure you're participating by learning. You feel me? Somebody that really does a good job of like giving you perspective, knowledge when it comes to what to expect, and then even after it happens, what to kind of take from it is Jordan Morgan, right? Jordan Morgan on the FRX channel, along with Zach on Power Hour. Make sure you guys are plugging in there. Make sure you guys are on mic, doing your mindset, getting that 6 a.m. bag. So that's what this week looks like, which looks good to me. Next up, let's go Telegram. If my Telegram will pull up, here we go. I'm bad. Let me let some more people in. Cool. So just like every single Sunday, right around market open, right? This is something I've been doing for a long time now, coming up on a year, literally consistently, where it's not like most of the time. Like, this is every single week. I've been dropping my markups, right? As far as what to expect from the dollar, what to kind of expect from the trading markets themselves, right? So you guys have this right here, which is a screenshot of what we just looked at. But if you want more detail, right, if you want to go in there and click on these certain events, get a little bit more insight on how it's going to affect the market, what to expect, right? You're going to the economic calendar on, why am I forgetting the name of the website? Forex Factory, my bad. Forexfactory.com, you go to the economic calendar, right? I filter it to pretty much like, as far as to start the week, I like to see where the US dollar's at. And then I'll add on, the other currencies as we get into Monday. But along with that, right, I send my analysis. So I send my dollar markups and then all the trading pairs, which we're going to get into today. And I'll go as fast as possible, fam. Just give you guys some straight value today, right? Just like the areas we're looking for is not, I'm not really going to be doing too much teaching. And hopefully I can get through this pretty quickly because I do have a special guest for y'all. And this is going to be definitely something where I'm excited to just be on the other side of the camera and see what this person has going on, right? So, and the beautiful thing about it is that me and this person have very similar like trading styles, perspectives, things we look for. So you guys are getting some good confluence, right? Let me actually, instead of doing that, I'm just go right into TradingView real quick instead of just pulling up the pictures themselves. Let me pull up my TradingView. Close some of this out. Drop some ones if you guys are ready for this week. Drop some ones if you guys are ready for special guests, right? Not only myself today, but I like to bring different perspectives, different forms of value for you guys. So bet, let's get it started. My boy Kenny. Love the value drop on your personal Telegram, mindset growth, discipline, and trading. Yeah, bro, I appreciate you. So that's something that is just personal to me. You know what I mean? I do a lot of reading, a lot of personal development as far as audios, a lot of studying the charts. And that's just a way for me to just share, you know what I mean? Whatever I come across. We went over like that double value system, right? So that's just my way of like, bro, I'm already learning all this stuff and I feel like it's helping me. Might as well, you know, throw it out there, see who could take something from it. So I appreciate you being in there. I appreciate you keeping up with it. Let's take a look at DXY, fam. So the US dollar is what we use as a kind of barometer for the currency markets as a whole, right? And not just currency markets, but commodities and you all know, stocks, all that kind of stuff, crypto. But this is where we're at, right? So we are, and I apologize for being a little bit repetitive. It's just that we're looking at the same market every single week, right? But it's good to get repetition for sure, right? So we've been very bearish, right, for the whole year, creating these series of highs, lows, lower highs, lower lows. Right here, we're coming up into a point where we're testing this weekly high from May of 2023, right? So that's about 5 months ago that we were at these levels. We're getting pretty close to there. I'm going to zoom into the lower time frames and really give you guys some detail on it. But that's basically like my next target, right? Would be that weekly high. After that is going to be the next weekly high. And when I say weekly, I'm talking about valid market structure, right? So you guys have, if you've been on any sort of training with me within these last couple months, I've been really stressing market structure, right? So here's a weekly high, there's a weekly high. Those are places where I expect the US dollar to target, right? Especially with not only just looking at this price action, but more or less the fundamentals, right? The fundamentals have been extremely bullish, like to say the least, right? We had a good like slowing down of rates, but now like the words, the sentiments that are coming out of these very important people's mouths is that we're not done. Basically, we're still gonna have to rate hike just a little bit higher. So that tells me, right, we could definitely be targeting these levels. And then also a imbalance that's not only on the weekly, but also on the monthly up here in these levels, right? So we can kind of trade through this and tap into that monthly imbalance. That would be like, the long-term goal, I guess, kind of medium-term goal. But right now we're still basically trading from this high down to this low within this weekly range, right? So now I go to my other DXY chart here that I use for the lower time frames. And let's go, yeah, daily. So last week we were on here and we had just traded through this level here, right? We had just seen some body closes above this level, which was a daily high at that point, right? And we were just kind of beginning to trade through it. So either two things can happen, right? We were going to retrace back down into this bullish range that took out that high, or we're going to keep going, right? Based off the fundamentals, I did definitely expect this market to keep going up. I didn't know it was going to be this bullish, but it's been this bullish, right? So we were definitely maybe even on the 4 hour expecting after we took this high, right? I was definitely expecting some sort of retracement, either down to this daily imbalance, down to this 4 hour liquidity down here, just some sort of like solid retracement that's more than 50%, which we haven't seen now ever since like the start of July, right? We've been very bullish for almost 2 months. And the point that we're coming up into now here and kind of testing is going to be that weekly high, right? So that's where I have my alert set. I do expect us to run there. After that, fam, I don't know like what the reaction is going to be, right? I'm not saying, okay, we're going to take this weekly high and then we're immediately going to tank, or we're going to take this weekly high and immediately run for the next one. We'll have to see, right? But usually whenever the market takes a very key liquidity point, right, we could be expecting something like this. And this is the markup that I sent. Let's see. So what I'm expecting is for us to basically trade through this level, right? Maybe, let's just say we react off of it just a little bit. We continue to trade through it. And if we are going to get any sort of retracement of this range here, then we'll wait for, we're on the 4 hour right now, but the 1 hour break of structure to the downside right here, for example, or wherever this happens to be, right? Whenever a solid 1 hour low gets taken and we get a body close below, that's what's going to tell us that, okay, cool, this 4 hour, this daily can go into a retracement. Now we've been getting some 4 hour or some 1 hour closes to the downside, as you guys can see, like bullish all this is, right? We're creating higher highs, higher lows. Up until here, we started to kind of move sideways, and then we broke, right? We closed below one of these 1 hour lows. But what happened immediately after is we just continue to push up. So that's why in a market like this, I'm not trusting the 1 hour too much to be real, right? So here's my 1 hour higher low point right there. So I do have an alert, if we can get a break and close below, a retest, we might start to look for some sells. But what I would really like to see would be a 4 hour low get taken. And I would like to see us trade through this level first, right? So we can trade through this weekly liquidity point right here, right? And then break some sort of 4 hour structure to the downside. Then we'll shift bearish, right? Other than that, we're going to keep playing the expansion side of this market, right? And there's been plenty of opportunity, right? So let's go into some of these currency pairs. On USD CAD, I have a daily markup, right? So this goes with Confluence. And again, this is a daily, right? So this is in Confluence with the dollar basically taking that weekly high, right? And basically running that high. So I'll show you guys one more time. Right, here's that high that I expect to be ran. If that does happen on USD CAD, then we can see some clear liquidity. We can see an imbalance right around the 786 of this bearish range. So I know you guys can see that. Now we'll need definitely some more information by the time we get up there to really enter, right? But let's just say, we start to work our way up, we test, we trade through, right? After we get that 1 hour, that 4 hour break of structure to the downside is when, we'll kind of wait for that retrace to really ride this, because we can all agree that this bullish range is due for a retracement, right? So all I'm saying is I would like that daily high or that weekly high on the dollar to get ran, right? Maybe USD CAD comes to an area like this. Once we see that break of structure is when we're going to start to play it, right? So right now, this is about a 40 pip area. But what I'm talking about is like waiting for that ideal entry and really, framing that trade idea around some sort of structure that happens inside that area. Because right now we don't have any information, right? So I have to put it above this wick. But I hope you guys are following me here. On the 1 hour for any of these currency pairs, it's just been straight continuations, right? When the dollar is very one-sided like that, there's going to be a lot of opportunities when it comes to continuation, right? So for example, right here was a mitigation play, right? Here was that last down push that created this bullish range. We see the retest and we create another bullish range, right? We get another test inside of that zone. We didn't necessarily break another high here, but you know, you're still expecting the dollar to be bullish, right? So here's that last down candle. Here's a candle that creates that new high, another test that kind of sweeps this liquidity, but we stay inside that candle. And it's all market structure, right? I'm using this last down candle. If you guys know smart money, you know, you heard of the term mitigation or manipulation or whatever, but it's as basic as we're in a bullish market structure, right? So here was a last little down candle that I marked up on Friday, right? Here's my last down candle that created this bullish range on this 1 hour. We closed Friday here. And isn't it interesting that look at how we gap opened here, right? So let's go 15, right? So the algorithm, right? We closed up here on Friday, but if this is a bullish candle, then that means we opened up here, right? So that's pretty interesting. If you look at on the 1 hour, right, you can see whenever you start to notice these gaps or these manipulations, the more you study smart money concepts, the more you're going to be able to just see like how obvious and what the real intention of it was, right? So there is a move over the weekend that basically came and mitigated this area. Now, are we going to push up from here? I don't know. It's a little bit too early for me to try to get myself involved right now. But same thing here, right? Same thing on USD CHF. Here's another dollar pair that's been just straight bullish. It's been beautiful literally on both sides of the market, just playing that one side, right? There's not really a need to play anything else, right? So here's that last down candle that created this high. We tested, ran, right? Here's basically this little last down candle that created this high, right? We come back to that area, we traded higher, right? Here, this candle was basically traded through, right? But this was a manipulation. What time is this? London. Yeah, so right as London was opening, we saw that low getting swept, but then another bullish range, right? So we literally just been kind of playing the mitigation very, very cleanly. So there's more than enough opportunities. On this 15-minute, same thing here. I had this last 15-minute down candle that created Friday's high. And like this was weird. Like look how it opened up here, but immediately ran all the way down to that area again. I don't know, right? You take from that what you will, but those are my two dollar dominant pairs. I'm not really seeing anything like that tells me I want to get involved with them right now. If we do get like our weekly target, then maybe we could start positioning sells on something like USD CAD. USD CHF on the daily as well. I've been waiting for a level up in this area, which is just a little bit higher. So let's just say the dollar is a little bit more bullish and that USD CAD doesn't work out. Here's these highs that are inside of this 4-hour pretty much daily order block, right? Look at that order block that's inside that area. Last up candle before the move down, you can see the liquidity right there. So that's something, there's something down here as well that I'd like to play, but we're kind of like in between on USD CHF. We'll have to see. What I am liking a lot is the other side of the market, which is the XXX USD pairs. Real quick on the daily on GBP USD, right? Playing kind of like the opposite of USD CAD. I'm looking at this range from this 4-hour low all the way up to this high right here, right? So let me actually do this so you guys can see what I'm measuring. Right, so you can see from this low all the way up to this high, right? We made that expansion. We're seeing that retracement now. There's an imbalance right here. I believe it's like a 4-hour, 1-hour imbalance that's sitting right around that 886. This last bearish candle on the daily is a good order block. So we did tap into that. We're seeing some nice reaction from there, right? So maybe this is like the dollar is ready now to give us a retracement, right? And we're not going to go and take that high as of now. Then this market, right? It's a 4-hour imbalance. I saw Geo mark this up and I saw him take this. I don't know if he's still in it, but I saw that sort of entry right now on the kind of just fundamental side, knowing that we're still expecting dollar to push up, then I do have, you know, this side of the market marked up as well. We've been very bearish on the 1 hour. So even this 15-minute candle here was a news candle, right? So if you study smart money, then this is starting to become very obvious. You're seeing the manipulation there, right? So there is a push to one side of the market. And then what makes this important is the immediate change of character the other way, right? So as soon as we took this high, we immediately ran and took this low. And just look at how much volume is coming in during that time, right? So just as a tip here, right? If you're looking at an institutional move, then there should be a lot of volume, right? There's a volume indicator. I'm not the type to really trade indicators, nothing like that, but I just kind of use it to for clues, you know what I mean? So this is something on GBP USD that could possibly hit to start the week, right? From this high. Remember, this is only a 15-minute, right? But anything above that 618 here inside of that candle, we could definitely be looking to short. Euro USD. So same candle on Euro here, right? Here's that candle that basically swept these highs, right? And we see the immediate change of character to the downside as well. Now the thing here is we didn't take this low, right? On GBP, we did sweep that low. You see here, this low took this low. On Euro, we didn't do that, right? So what we did do is kind of form a pair of equal lows right here, and then immediately started to run back into that area. So you see how this one, like Euro is basically a little bit stronger than GBP right now. If I were to go to Euro GBP, we'd be looking at a bullish market, right? Because we can already see that Euro is a little bit stronger, right? To the upside. So it didn't make the low and it retested this candle already. Whereas this one broke the low, right? And we have failed to kind of test there. So, you know, I expect one or the other to hit. Right now, Euro is basically like on a fractal basis here. It's retesting this candle that tapped into this one, right? So I'm looking to see if this holds, right? If this holds, then that's all we're getting. If this high gets taken and we continue to trade into this area, then we could possibly play GBP to the downside, right? So I got my alerts. Make sure you guys are setting alerts, you know, inside of these areas, whether it's the fib, whether it's like this important high right here, whether it's these zones that I'm marking up, right? Make sure you're setting your alerts, because the worst feeling in the world is not like taking an L, but missing a big play, right? AUD, as you guys are going to see, all these like last pairs here with XXX USD are going to be pretty similar, right? Here's that sweep of liquidity, change of character to the downside, like obvious change of character on this one. However, here we already tested back here, and this was on Friday, right? So by Friday, we had already tested inside of the zone and created that down push. Here's that candle that I was going to see if we could possibly hold to keep going down. But as we can see, it's not, right? So as long as it respects this high right here, this is possible. Now, I didn't send these out as trade ideas just because it's a little soon, right? I'd like to see a little bit more information, but that you guys that are on here, then you guys get the opportunity to, you know, either play them or not play them. But there's that area, as you guys can see, right? So let me just, I like kind of tying it all in together, right? There's GBP, there's that candle, there's Euro, there's that candle, here's AUD. AUD is probably the most bullish one that I've seen out of these three so far. And that's interesting because that's after giving the largest bearish reaction. We then flipped and started to be very bullish. So I'm just saying, you know, it's interesting. Here, NZD USD, same thing, right? There's the high that it took. There's that change of character. There's that test, nice reaction. So like even off that, you know, if you got in here late Friday, 30 pips is I heard somebody say 30 pips pays the bills. So right, as long as we're here, like just because this high got taken, fam, like I don't expect, like I'm not thinking that this is going bullish just yet. Like as long as we're holding here, right? As long as we're holding this high, as long as we're not getting body closes above here, still going to play this area, right? This could test 3-4 times, doesn't matter. As long as this area is holding, then, you know, we'll wait. So what we are waiting for is going to be some sort of like change of character, right? So once like a 15 minute or even a 1 hour on this time frame, since I'm looking at like a 1 hour candle, looking at on the 15, I could use a 15-minute break of structure, right? So whenever that 15 breaks, we'll look for that retest to then play, right? So the trade idea would look something like this. Right, we're waiting for more information for sure. But that's kind of what I'm expecting here with these XUSD pairs, at least to start the week, right? We'll get more info and we'll get more plays as we go along. That's where we're at right now. Gold is something I've been having some good success with recently. Let me take this one just a little bit higher here. Let's just teach one last lesson here. I'm going to share my US30 markup after this, but I'm not going to go into it really. It's the same thing really. Like you're going to see how it's the same thing literally on all these pairs. But on gold, this is what I've been looking at, right? On the daily, right, as we can see, even if I zoom out even more, we're in a bullish structure on the daily, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high. It's that simple, right? So once I establish my most recent lower high, which would be this one, I mean, technically this right here, right? Once I establish that's my most recent daily, so this is my daily range, right? From low all the way to this high, right? So we've been playing the downside very successfully because we were expecting right after this daily expanded, we know that it wants to come back down to the 50%. And ideally, you know, give us those ideal entries all the way down here. So we've been riding that wave for sure. This already got traded through. So we've been riding like just this right here, fam. Like we're on the daily, right? But just kind of showing you like the goal, right? The goal was to get below the 618 and ideally all the way down here. So I do see us possibly having more downside on gold. The 4 hour structure has been beautiful, right? You can see high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. This is all just one expansion, right? So the way I'm seeing this 4 hour, and I've validated this, but this is what the structure looks like. This was the last valid 4 hour low, right? All the way down here. So none of this was valid 4 hour. There was some valid 1 hour in here, right? Like literally beautiful 1 hour structure when you look at, you know, just it's just doing the same thing all the way up until it started moving sideways and we started to break structure to the upside, right? But even on the last thing I want to show on this 4 hour here real quick is this is my last valid 4 hour high, right? I'm not going to get into how to validate. You guys study Valentino if you want to know, but this was my last valid 4 hour pullback, right? So I was expecting us to trade into this candle, right? Last up candle. And then you see how we've seen a nice reaction already. So about 200 pips on gold off of that zone already, and we're still playing it. So once my so for example, it would have set an alert as soon as the market touched this area, right? Then I'm looking for, if this is a 4 hour, I'm going to look at the 1 hour for a change of character, right? So market comes into that zone. This is how it played, right? So it shot immediately all the way up there, created a valid 1 hour pullback, and then it created a new high. So after it did that, then we managed to close below, right? You can see how this body closes below these bodies, giving us the 1 hour change of character, right? So as soon as that happens, then anything else is already like game time, right? So I did catch this move, which was pretty dirty. After we changed character, here's my last up move that created the change of character. So as soon as it came up here, it took a minute, but it did give us some nice, a nice reaction. Nothing crazy, but we got what, about 90 pips, right? So off of the change of character, retesting that last up move, we definitely caught some shorts here. I cashed out most of my position within this range here, but I did leave like a 0.2 running, I think, because I knew we were going to go lower. Like based off this 1 hour structure, looking at it from this low all the way up to this high, I knew we had to retrace down. Like ideally, I'm still looking for it to come below these lows, right? So knowing that, I left some money on the table, but I did go break even, and then this move took me out of that market, right? This was a news candle, so comes up, takes out my entry that I got somewhere in this area, and then immediately like shoots down. Even on that 0.02, bro, like if it would have let me in, that would have been a good amount of pips there, right? This was about almost a 200 pip move. So now where we're currently at is we're retesting that candle, right? And again, same thing on NZD, right? Same thing on AUD, same thing on Euro, same thing on GBP. Gold is an XXX USD pair, so same thing, right? There's that manipulation that took this high and then immediately changed character. Now I'm looking to see if we're going to hold that area to continue down, because on this 1 hour, my target would be down here, right? So we can catch an entry somewhere up here, maybe hopefully like tomorrow. 50 pips on gold is doable, but yet again, right, what we'll wait for. If this is a 1 hour range that I'm looking at, I'm gonna be paying attention to the 15, right? As soon as we get that 15-minute change of character, gonna wait for that ideal entry right there, that last up candle before the down push, and this will be my target, right? So just kind of teaching you guys how I'm finding the areas and then how I'm playing them, right? Because just because you found the area doesn't mean like you're rich, right? There's a lot of trade management, a lot of like stuff that goes on within that process. So this is what I'd wait for as far as an entry. That's a good 5-1 on a 15-minute on gold. So those are most of my markups, fam. I got one more here for you guys, which is US 30. And what a coincidence, right? It's the same thing. Now this, I don't know if anybody saw my story on Friday, or I think I dropped it in the Powerhouse chat as well. But I was basically paying attention to this range that we've been trading in, right? We swept these highs. If I go down to the 15, you can definitely see a little clearer, right? But we swept some pretty key highs right here, tapped into this imbalance and then immediately melted. And we've been, even before that, we've been fairly bearish, right? So this was that last area that really like gave us that internal liquidity, right? Of this bearish range, gave us that internal liquidity sweep and then really melted, right? So from there, that move, that manipulation move ended up leaving an imbalance down here. I think the imbalance is on the 15, if I'm correct. Yeah. Right. So the imbalance is right there. That's that blue zone that you're seeing. It's sitting inside of the anywhere between 618 and 886 is good for me. Definitely closer to the 786, right? So we've seen imbalance right there. We're seeing, a few days worth. Let me see if I turn this on real quick. Right. So that is, since we made, right. So this was day one, right? Day two, we make a low. Day three, we kind of test back into that range, but we're kind of still trading in there. And then on that, like this was London session. By New York, we were already all the way down here at the bottom of the range, right? Day four, we kind of get that mitigation play here, but failed to break, right? So right now we're still creating these equal lows. Day five, coming up on day six was like, yo, like, are we going to continue down and just take these lows? Or, are we going to scoop up a little bit of this before we go down? So this is one of the nastiest plays I've caught in a good while, right? I know a lot of people caught it. I was able to catch this like not at 348 or 34682.77, but I caught it pretty high, definitely above these highs right here, right? As soon as I started to see that reaction, that rejection on the 5, I got in it. And this was a big move, right? So about 650 pips was nasty. Like I took out most of my position here. I did leave some because I knew that we had those equal lows to target. So I did end up, catching some of that. Most of my position came right around here, right? I took that, which was good enough for me, but left something on the table because I knew we had a definitely a clear target. So you kind of pay yourself so you don't, like, the trade goes the other way. You're not mad at yourself for not getting paid. You leave some on the table. That way the trade keeps going. You're not mad at yourself for like closing out. So do both. Pay yourself and leave something in there. Right now, this is the area that I'm looking to play. I think the 15-minute candle, I narrowed it down to the 15. Yeah. So this candle on the 15 is what I'm looking at now. And I did send this markup as well. So definitely still pretty bearish. And we have not yet tested up in there, right? So if we can get a New York session test tomorrow, if US 30, bro, test up into this range tomorrow, y'all sitting in the same living room with Mike Nav tomorrow morning. Y'all some lucky people. Hopefully y'all save us some money in these markets for Wednesday, bro. But that's what I'm looking for on US 30, right? Is that mitigation play, very clean, easy to see. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to the US 30 queen herself, right? We got a goat on the call today, fam. We can get some goat emojis real quick. This girl, bro, she drops a lot of value in two languages, right? She's out here doing market open for the Spanish team. She's doing back testing in English and Spanish, right? She's on everybody's call, plugged in as a student. She's in the chats at 4 a.m., bro. I don't know how she wakes up that early or lifts that much weight, but she's up early, bro. And she's in these markets. She's learning. She's executing. So that's a formula for success for sure. So it's been a pleasure to be here with you, Neri, and really grow in this journey alongside you. And I can't wait to be at the top with you, girl. Let's get it. I'm gonna hand it over to you, make you co-host, so you can take it away.
Yeah, of course, of course. I'm actually over here laughing in the background for it because I'm just like lifting up weight heavy and everything. It's crazy because I just did like a couple hours ago, and it was a really good one. It was a really good one. And so obviously, guys, thank you for having me on here. When Ralph told me that, willing to share, the points of view inside the market, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, because really, whether, and one thing you'll notice as well too, every time on the call with like, Raf and see like his markups and stuff, majority of the time when he marks up, it's the same exact thing as mine. So I'm just like, well, he just went over it. I guess the end, right? But overall, like everybody does have those points of view, and majority of the things that he's looking at, I can already see, too. And I'll kind of just dive in deep real quick, just make it kind of quick for you guys. It is Sunday, and as you saw, whenever he was marking up, the Forex Factory and just kind of getting a points of view, there is going to be a lot of news where you do want to position yourself. So one of the things is if you are a London trader, you have a lot coming towards you. I specifically like to look at the red folders just like Raf, but if you do have all the color folders on here, remember the news is the excuse. I'm not saying just because there's a red, you're going to go down, just because there's a green, you can go up, or et cetera, et cetera. But if you do look at all the folders itself, you will see from today all the way down, right? There's going to be a lot of news for a lot of you London traders. I'm not sure if he's on here. Let me see. I think no, he was just on here earlier. But Bavik, he definitely loves to trade London, and as well Miguel and all them too. So if you are trading London, keep an eye out for it because you are going to have a very, very great week. As long as you position yourself right for that, And so one of the biggest things as well too, whenever I was looking at the dollar and Ralph was like, marking it up, I'm fairly new with levels. I'm gonna just say that, but I definitely like to utilize it now, obviously for more of the confirmation perspective. I know Miguel Medina, shout out to you, bro. You're always plugged in, and a lot of people that do use a lot of levels perspectives. Obviously correct me if I'm wrong with it. But let's look at the dollar. What is the main thing you see? If we eliminate all the noise real quick and just really focus in on market, over the course of time, you definitely saw a dollar fluctuating around this price area before it poked inside here, filled in the imbalance, and then, continued the write up, right? When you drop down to that weekly perspective, you had started to see that all of this was once liquidity, right? Everybody sees that buying action going on where everybody's pushing the dollar to the upside. But overall, of the course of the time, right, this is where you pretty much are going to have to start waiting a tad bit on maybe seeing where you could see starting to see dollar reject, because a lot of the things that Ralph was talking about, pretty much the same exact thing for mine. But this is where this could happen if dollar does something like this. But again, we have to wait for it. When you have that overall left shoulder and that head, we still are ranging around the same, not changing the character yet, but ranging around the same price. So if we end up reaching around this level, because right over here we have this whole big clear of liquidity, we can drop down a smaller time frame. You'll see the exact same setup that we talk about all the time, especially on Mike Nav session. If we end up keep pushing dollar to the high side, right, we break that structure, could it be the fact that we can probably see dollar come over here and eventually fill in this imbalance the healthy price action way? Okay, that's one way you can actually see it. Okay, but that's where we have to wait. Okay, we have to wait for that. And if we see dollar actually push up around this range, right, let's go ahead and zoom in, right? The more you zoom in, the more detailed you get. What exactly do you see? All these retail, sellers, happy, holly, and jolly, and then all of a sudden you get this big impulsive to the upside. And so now when you drop into that smaller time frame, you would have saw some type of inefficiency. So in this case scenario, could we still be ranging? Could we still be ranging around this area price zone and then eventually potentially come down here? Again, it's going to be a waiting game. Okay, a waiting game, because the reason why I like this area is because that inefficiency, and you guys know price is going to want to move as healthy as possible, right? You can see overall that when we get imbalances, they end up getting filled in. You see, look at that. It took the time, but it came no matter what. There's something going to be left in there. Okay. But that's just something how you can actually see for the dollar. So if for some reason we continue to spike up, but at the same time, let's go ahead and actually drop down for the smaller time frame perspective. I wouldn't be surprised either if we start to see dollar on the smaller time frame, a tad bit of rejection, just because overall we could be getting something like that. And if we do kind of go from that point of view, there is a thing that Jordan Morgan talks about a lot, and that is going to be the, trap candles that, people, they typically get stuck in these orders, right? Other words, some people like to call them order blocks. And so could there be a possibility that, hey, just to start off the week right, we could get some type of rejection, but this is the overall bigger time frame perspective that I'm kind of eyeing on. So if we end up getting that for the dollar itself, then at this given point, if we decide to hold this and see something like that from that point of view, and then continue to the upside, that'll be something pretty good. That's one way how you can see it. So then overall, when you start to dive in more deeper, and at the same time, guys, if for some reason you are kind of just struggling to see where you can start off the week, I definitely emphasize you guys to actually utilize the product itself, because I saw something for AUD itself. AUD JPY, and you guys can actually see it on AUD JPY. The harmonic scanner pretty much caught it and is actually pointing an eye view on it. Let's go ahead and take off all this noise, because it makes me nervous. I ain't gonna lie. But if we take off all this right here, all this was once a clear liquidity. The big institutional candle push up, and now the imbalance to the downside. If you do trade smart money concepts, right, you start to see that overall entry point. So don't sleep on this right here. Okay. For anybody that does trade this pair specifically. So it could overall come a tad bit more higher, maybe to this entry, but I could see a slight bit, a little bit higher, but overall it does make sense on the overall bigger picture direction, that bigger picture perspective as well, right? Or any other words as well too. I don't really see anything else except for the AUD-JPY for that. But besides that, let's go ahead and actually zoom in real quick to AUD, and I have pretty much the same thing as RAF right now. Now, this is where it gets really juicy, okay? So if we overall are starting to compare something like this for the AUD pairs itself, there's a big thing where market, it likes to clear out wicks, because we see on the smaller perspective, on the smaller time frame, that yep, clear of liquidity, institutional candle to the upside, and then push down. This right here was the move, that mitigation move. Okay, because if you measure the institutional candle movement, that was about 40 pip movement. When you measure something like this specifically, it's roughly halfway, but not all the way through. But this could have been slightly the move for some type of mitigation zone. Now, the question is, will it hold AUD? Well, starting to clear that liquidity. It's starting to really push up and build it. And as well as there is money being pushed in here as well too for all of our trendline traders. Okay. Now, you guys will hear this all the time when it comes down to, the market itself, about how people like to, oh, did this freeze on me? Did this freeze on me right now? Can you guys hear me? Drop a number 2 in the chat if you can hear me. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we should be good. Awesome. Cool. So even for our trendline traders, they're having a blast right now. These guys are really, really coming up. Now, keep in mind, these do work. You'll hear it all the time, like, oh, it doesn't work. These strategies don't, they're not that good, but at the same time, they do work. But you want to ask yourself, why wouldn't you want to obviously get into it like that? Because overall, now your target, you're pretty much a little kid in the candy store, and they'll snatch your candy from you. Okay. So overall, that's the perspective how you can actually see it. But, where could we be headed to for AUD? Let's look at that bigger time frame, because we are in the beginning of the week. And we do see that, there was all this clear of liquidity institutional candle that came in to clear everybody out, and this whole imbalance. I wouldn't be surprised if we, see some type of, rejection inside this whole zone itself. As you can see, price is starting to move very funny when it comes inside this blue zone for mitigation. If for some reason we cannot hold something like this, then I wouldn't be surprised if we push a lot more higher in that perspective, because we do have all of this money that was cleared out once before. At the same time, if dollar continues to the downside, this could potentially keep moving up higher to clear all this out. Eventually when dollar goes up, this can continue to go down. But how high could we get? So how low can dollar go, and how high can this go? So if for some reason at that point, when dollar starts to get near a zone where we start to see it pushing up and buyers coming in, then this could be a overall great area for it. But I'll be paying attention around this zone specifically, because there's just money being sat right here that we do see, as well as NZD-USD. NZD-USD is just fluctuating around this whole area as well too. And nothing too crazy that I see around for NZD-USD. My personal POV, it's kind of slow, and I don't know, if you do trade it, shout out to you, because it moves a little slow for me. Okay. But I still overall use it for correlation. Remember, always overall correlate, because if you guys ever noticed it, and, correct me if I'm wrong with anybody, but have you ever had like an entry point where, you would say, hey, I want to get in for some buy, and for some reason, this is market, clear liquidity, comes up, does something like this. Normally you want to get in for here for some type of buy rejection if this is your typical setup for it, and let's just say this was AUD. Okay. Ugh, that's ugly. AUD. If we had overall NZD, they correlate as well. And let's just say for some reason, this over here actually is getting near the zone specifically. Sometimes we like to say as well, okay, cool, it's coming to my zone, I'm gonna go ahead and buy here. Sometimes, guys, and it happens, and if you're brand new to correlation, let's just say you're getting near NZD, you're like, okay, I'm about to buy. You get some type of, mitigation happen, and this is coming lower, and all of a sudden this shoots down and then continues to go up. Because sometimes it looks at the overall other pair that correlates a lot with it, and they want to move as healthy as possible at the same time with it. But that's a whole conversation, a whole lesson to it, but something to kind of see. But as we can, AUD and NZD, they're pretty much correlated right now. So it's just really seeing exactly where could we go around these price area ranges. Now, I do have like 4 minutes left because we have the leadership call after this. I am going to be doing the Spanish market overview as well too, guys. So if y'all want to hop, if anybody speaks Spanish, you're more welcome to hop on. They'll be all fully Spanish. I'll go more deep into this. Now for GBP USD itself, you know, we are ranging around this whole institutional candle that eventually got this big pop. Now, this is where I'm going to be eyeing on specifically when it comes down to it. You know, we can see that it's fluctuating in here. And the question is, will it definitely hold? Remember, wicks like to get filled in, and I would see something like this happen, where maybe some type of, like, you know, rejection, you know, because then we have to clear all this out. It doesn't have to, but it would make sense. Coming to some type of inefficiency that we do see here, right? And clearing all this out specifically. That's one perspective for that. But the overall bigger time frame perspective that I do have marked up is going to be a lot more higher here, and it's going to take its time. So we do have areas where clear liquidity could happen. You know, sweep out all these equal highs that we do have, especially for Euro as well too. Now, Euro on a 15-minute time frame, you could drop down and you can see very specifically comparing it to, you know, to GBP and Euro. You know, they're at the same price area ranging. Now, it's very bullish right now. It's on a smaller time frame. Again, we could see something like this. I would like that. Right? And then continue a lot more higher. Maybe. You know, that's just something to kind of just see. You know, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. It's still brand new inside the week, guys. Like, it is Sunday and there's not enough evidence yet in my eyes, unless you want to drop your chart inside the Powerhouse chat and let me see what you guys are looking at. But overall, my perspective on my eyes, I do not have enough evidence to actually say, hey, this could sell off or this could continue up higher. But if we are in a 4-hour time frame, we are seeing price, you know, fighting its way to the upside, right? It's definitely fighting. And so for USD CAD, same exact concept with RAF. I was looking at the same exact areas for that too. Bigger time frame perspective, keep an eye out around this area range for that clear liquidity, the institutional candle, and then some type of rejection over here, just because we do have those equal highs, right? And lastly, that we do have, again, is US 30. And if you were on the back testing yesterday, we kind of finished off with kind of, you know, seeing where market could be going to. And again, for anybody that trades levels, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm okay with that. You actually see some type of movement happen as well for Head and Shoulders, right? It's not clean, but it would make sense to see something happen like this, you know, on a smaller time frame perspective. If we get something rejecting here, push down, continue to the upside, reject. If it clears out, like, I'm not making some things up, but at this point, this is where I want to see a sell, somewhere around here. The longer, you know, the bigger picture itself, I'm still looking around this area, but as well a tabbing more higher into this zone itself. And again, I'll explain it on the Spanish call more into depth with it, where potentially US 30 could be going to. Because I still believe we could still be dropping this market to the downside. You know, I can still see that. It's just really going to just take its time, you know, but we will be pushing up a lot more higher depending what type of reaction we get in here. You know, it's not a coincidence that it is rejection around this trap candle itself. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on that specifically. And not enough too much evidence that we do have on here, but overall, everything that Ralph is going over is super, super, super valid. The same thing of what I'm eyeing on. It just all depends on how we will get there, you know? So we'll definitely see. We'll definitely see on that. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it for me. I'll pass it back to Rafra, and if you do speak Spanish, we'll definitely go more into depth with that. And yeah, let's get it. Let's get it. So thank you, Raf.
Thank you, Neri. Let's get it, girl. Family, it's gonna be a good week. It's gonna be an eventful one. Make sure you're pulling up to these in-person events. We can catch a bag together, and let's get this bread. Have a good week, fam.